On today's show, we're going to be talking about ending spousal clawbacks in British Columbia for PWD. So stay tuned. Why would there be a clawback, in place, in the first place? Well, we're going to be talking about that with my guest coming up next. Clawbacks, pink unicorns. I don't like clawbacks. I think all clawbacks should be ended, but we'll be talking about that next. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host. And I'm broadcasting to you from Victoria, British Columbia. A little bit overcast today. It's a little bit cooler out today. It's definitely fall weather. Not freezing, but compared to other areas of the country. And also joining me is Neil Matheson from Surrey, British Columbia. How is it out in your area, Neil?
It's a gloomy day.
Kind of a gloomy day. And also
Yes.
joining me today is Jeff Leggat from Disability Action of Canada. And thank you, Jeff, for joining me today. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good, Brent. Thank you so much.
Yeah. How's it out in your neck of the neighborhood?
Cold. It was rainy and chilly, 2 degrees and raining. Ugh, not good.
Ooh, yeah.
Not good.
Oh, well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. And today we're going to be talking about spousal clawbacks in British Columbia for persons with disabilities, ending clawbacks. Definitely, it is a hot topic, and we're going to dive right into it right now. So over to you, Jeff. Actually, I'll hand the mic to you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Brent. I just want to touch base on this. Brent and I and Sonia were invited to do the press conference with Minister Malcolmson and who else was up there? The Green Party.
Rob Bottrell.
Robert.
Rob, yeah, Barab Botterill and a few other people up in Nanaimo last week to make the big announcement that they will be removing the spousal clawback. So I'm going to have to get some knowledge on this because it was presented as a person on disability in a relationship with another person on disability will no longer be viewed as a couple and given less amount of money. They'll be viewed as individuals and given more amount of money.
Mm,
So, and this was something we've been fighting for because for the last six,
yeah.
7 years, we've
Yeah.
been doing this because when you're so far below poverty level in the first place, if you're in a relationship and you get less money, that means you get less food. You have to go without. You get less proper shelter. You get less everything in life. So our big thing, and also it puts you at risk of being in a negative relationship and not having the financial resources to remove yourself from a negative situation.
Mm,
So that has always been in our fight dialogue. We need to treat each and every disabled person as an individual and support them as an individual, regardless of their status. We don't want to have to put the financial responsibility on another person. So that's what I was under the understanding that I never even thought about the shelter portion, but I just understood that they're saying,
Yeah, because that's the sticky part, isn't it, Brent? So we,
mhm.
we can get into it. It
yeah.
was a bit of a bait and switch what happened, and I mean, I actually really respect Sheila Malcolmson a lot. We're not going to be throwing her under the bus at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
but basically
Mhm.
when she said that she's ending the disposal clawback or the disposal cap, it's not really that. She should have used different language
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
wasn't actually ending the disposal cap. The disposal cap is actually still in effect. The only thing that's happened is that the only equalization of payments that's happened is to do with the support portion,
Oh,
right?
yes.
It's only the support portion, and the shelter portion is unaffected. It's the same stupid system of like, for example, the way it was originally the way it was originally kind of packaged or introduced, and like I was victim of it, and I'm sure you were too, Jeff, was was that this whole thing was going to be but basically that two people that were together were going to get their full check. So it was going to be their full check times two, right? Which
Yeah.
so that would
Yeah.
include your shelter and your
And your
support
support.
portion.
Yeah.
So basically, you're talking if it was a real support. Sorry, if it was a real
A real game changer.
two checks independently of
Yes.
autonomy of
Yes.
two checks times two. That would
Yeah.
have been 1483.50
Yep.
times two, right?
Right.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not that's not what happened. So maybe we'll
Mhm.
get into that Brent.
Yeah, I have a short audio clip actually. It's about a 7 minute audio clip if you both don't mind.
Yeah.
It was from the On the Coast. It's a show On the Coast from CBC News with Gloria Makarenko on November 18th. So now that was 2 days before we met with Minister Malcolmson. Now there's two advocates from BC. They basically say that it makes changes to the disability payments. Advocates say it's not enough. Now, you'll get the idea listening to the little audio clip. I think it's probably very important for our listeners and viewers to kind of get some context out of this from lived experience and from one of the advocates. And then I'll get your take on this, Jeff, right after it. And so here we go. I will play it here. Hopefully the audio comes through nice and clear. Okay, here we go.
The BC government says they are making major changes to disability assistance. Starting next month, couples where both people receive disability payments will receive the same allowance as if they were single. Then starting next year, in couples where only one person has the Persons with Disabilities designation, they should get an increased annual earning exemption. But the way the payments are calculated is complicated, and we have two guests to address this with us today. Jessica Gordon is a person living with a disability, and we spoke with her about the spousal cap last year. Hello, Jessica, and welcome back to On the Coast.
Thank you very much.
Also with us is Spencer Van Vloten, a longtime community advocate and the editor of bcdisability.com. Spencer, good afternoon to you.
Gloria, nice to be here.
Now, Jessica, let's circle back with you, and I'm glad you were able to join us again today. What exactly do these new changes, what do they mean to disability payments?
It amounts to not very much. The wording when it comes to disability assistance is a little bit confusing. Disability assistance is broken down into two parts. There's your support allowance and your shelter allowance. Shelter allowance being for your shelter, like your rent or whatnot. But support allowance kind of sounds like what you would call the entire disability payment. So that's the only thing that is changing for two people that are both on disability.
Okay,
but shelter allowance stays the same.
Well, how do you feel about the changes?
So mad. Mad because of how they're presenting this. They're presenting it as though they ended spousal clawbacks, when really they just made a minute change. Like for the situation I just described with two people on disability assistance, it amounts to $113.50, I think, per month more that they'll be getting between the two of them.
Oh, ooh.
That's hardly ending the the clawback. They're still $305 short of what they would get if they were two individual people living separately.
$113 more for two people. That's between two people.
$56.75 per person.
Now, Spencer, what went through your mind when you heard about these changes?
Appointment, because these changes were the promise to remove the spousal clawbacks was promised over a year ago. They had mostly been silent since that time, and there's a lot of people were hopeful that they were working on it and something very beneficial would be coming. But these changes, they first of all, as Jessica mentioned, they're very limited in what they change. and also very limited in who they impact. I mean, it's good that there's some improvement for couples that are both on PWD, but the vast majority of people who are impacted by these spousal clawbacks will not have any benefit from this at all. Most of them will still be either unable to get assistance in the first place, or they'll have to be hiding their relationships, or not moving in as a couple. And so it's one of those situations where, okay, they took sort of half a step forward, but we need a mile to go.
I would call it a quarter step, not a half step.
It's leading and not entirely accurate for the government to come out and claim that they've delivered on the commitment they made last year.
Okay, well, let's hear more about that from you, Jessica. Misleading, says Spencer. There certainly has been some confusion around these changes. What would you like to clarify in response to some messaging and misinformation out there?
Yeah, a lot of it does come down to that shelter allowance and support allowance thing, because most people don't understand the ins and outs of the specifics in disability assistance, and they're just going to hear shelter or support allowance, and they're going to think that's what people on disability get per month, a support payment or what have you. So there's all sorts of news articles coming out right now saying that they have ended the spousal clawbacks, they've eliminated wording like that, because they're using their own words to interpret what they've seen in this news release. But the news release was very carefully worded, so that it doesn't really describe exactly. A lot of people did go in and look at the math at the bottom of the news release and go, that doesn't add up to if you doubled the amount for a single person.
Yeah, 500.
But most people aren't going to make it that far reading a news release. They're just going to read, the first paragraph, the headline,
$695,
stuff like that.
1,000,
And they're not going to understand how little of an impact this is. And the other thing that they did was they increased the annual earnings exemption for couples where only one has the PWD designation. But it's 24,800 will be the new exemption limit. So that's the amount,
which is less than minimum wage,
can earn collectively between both of them before the person with disabilities payments are clawed back.
Okay. Now, Spencer, what does all this mean? I mean, what are some of the ways that people are affected by these spousal caps and just the way disability payments are calculated?
Well, just to give perspective, basically, if someone with a disability has a partner who makes basically a minimum wage income, that will be considered too much for them to keep their eligibility for and their full payment for their disability assistance. So in the government's eyes, the person who could make as little as minimum wage is supposed to be a financial caretaker for the person with the disability. So what this means, because the policy changes did not remove that spousal clawback, you're still going to have, thousands of people throughout the province who aren't getting the disability assistance that they need, or you're going to be having people who are currently on disability assistance who have to continue hiding their relationships.
Not moving
in with the partner, trying to keep it, secret on the down low because they don't want that money that they desperately need clawed back. Another dynamic is that people who choose to enter relationships and decide to forego disability assistance because the spousal cap makes them ineligible, well then, because they're now financially dependent on their partner, there's been situations where those relationships have turned sour and the partner has been abusive. And because the person has no income of their own. They don't get any financial assistance. They're really totally dependent on this person financially, and they have to stay in a relationship as a result. And it's just so out of touch with the economic realities facing people these days. That in BC, two person incomes are really needed to stay afloat, and these changes really still don't allow many people with disabilities to live that to get those two incomes.
Now, Jessica, maybe I hear from each of you. Just what would you like to see happen next? Jessica, we'll start with you.
I would like to see. Honestly, I would like to see Sheila Malcolmson confronted about this and see what she has to say about why she made these decisions versus actually ending the spousal cap and the spousal clawbacks. Ideally, I would like that to happen, that people with disabilities can be in a relationship, enter a relationship. Their relationship should not matter at all
Bingo.
in regard to their disability assistance.
Relationship should not matter at all.
It's just so far from how the world works now. It's so outdated.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people lived on single income housing in like the 50s, but nowadays you can't really do that.
Exactly.
Okay, now Spencer, you've heard Jessica. She says we've got to confront the minister and put this
I
to
think
her.
we're almost done here, Jeff, and then you can pipe in.
Absolutely. I want to see government stand up and be bold, and instead of taking this half step forward, take those necessary steps forward to deliver the changes that people with disabilities need. And those changes are, can the spousal cap so that people with disabilities, whether it's two people with disabilities or one partner has it and the other doesn't, but so they can both have an income, increase the assistance rates so they're not like $10,000 a year below the poverty line.
Which is something you always talk about, Jeff.
And it prevents them from, being able to accomplish their dreams, being able to live in good health, and so many other things.
Yeah.
Gordon.
I think that's it.
And
Brent, basically
we're talking to her about the spousal cap.
So that was the interview that took place on the November 18th with Jessica and Spencer. Of course, the follow-up was with Sheila Malcolmson from Gloria.
and we don't need to play all of that.
Yeah,
I'll listen to that later. Did she address the?
She did address it, it's.
But again, she's when Sheila was talking about it, she said, well, of course, all along I was talking about the support portion.
Yeah,
and really, she to my mind, she wasn't. Like when it was first introduced, she kind of the messaging was we're going to two people that are a couple get to keep all of their check, the entirety of their check. That was what I took away from it, right?
Yeah,
that's what I took away from it too, Neil.
Yeah,
so it's a 7-minute clip.
I'll listen to that later.
Let's not play that, Brent. But basically, the takeaway of this whole thing, though, is that instead of actually doubling, so like if we take you and Sonia as an example, Brent, so you'd have a doubling of the checks, which would be $1,483.50 times 2.
Yeah, say 29.
But that like a little bit less than $3,000. But that's not what happens. That's not what happened. What actually happens is you only get a bump up of the support portion a little bit. It was $56.75 per person, which is not nothing. Let's say it's not nothing, but unfortunately the support portion is not affected. So instead of the support portion being doubled, which should have been 500 times 2, which is the 1,000, you're still stuck at $695.
Yeah, for
the shelter.
So they still view disabled people in relationships as dependent on one another in under the cap of shelter,
Yeah,
Right,
but not
exactly.
under the
yeah,
cap of
So they
okay, yeah,
so they
that's
actually didn't remove the disposal cap. So they really
yes,
so it's kind of like Sheila Malcolmson, and like God bless her, right? I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to throw her under the bus. I don't.
yeah,
But she really should have used different language and said we're actually not getting rid of the disposal cap, but I am giving a little bit of a bump up of the support portion. She should have been very clear about that at the beginning, and she really wasn't. Like all the
yeah,
messaging from the press release thing that you went to,
hmm
Jeff, and that you went
yeah,
to, Brent, was
yeah,
all we're ending the disposal clawback, which is not true. The disposal
yeah.
disposal cap is still in effect.
yeah.
Unfortunately, it's still in
See,
effect. Unfortunately.
so like what how I'm looking at it is the support in traditionally before it would be like two PWD, one file, and so that they would be not two full PWD support. So they kind of what they've done is they give back majority of the support, but not all of it, and then left a spousal cap in for the shelter portion at
Yeah.
695 rather than two
Yeah.
500s. So that's
See,
$305 and a little bit for support. Yeah,
okay,
Yeah.
so this is something we can get we can push back with the Greens and
yeah,
the and Sheila's office, but most importantly, we can push back with David Eby and
yeah,
Brenda Bailey.
yes,
Because
Hmm.
to tell you the truth, I'm not going to diminish Sheila. Her office is doing great, good work
yeah,
in the
Yeah.
details and the little stuff. But the purse strings are held by Brenda Bailey and David Eby. And
yes.
disability minister can't do anything without financial
hmm
authority. So that's good that we clarify this because
Yeah,
even the second part, when they were talking about if a person with disabilities in a relationship with a non diverse ability person,
hmm
their earnings exemption gets put up to 24,000. I was under the assumption, silly me, that was based on their earnings,
Me
the
hmm
too. Me
individual
too. Yeah.
disabled person's earnings. They could
Exactly.
earn more
Yeah.
yes,
because they're still funded well below poverty level.
yeah,
We're gonna put that cap up a little more. We'll get you working, and
Right.
and the partner's income has nothing to do with it.
Hmm.
yeah,
That's what my assumption is, and it's
yeah,
not that way
Exact.
at all. It's the
Yeah.
partners.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not right at all.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. And
No.
so it's very misleading. Like it's like a splashy one of those splashy announcement. We've done this, but the devil's in the detail.
And so
Uh,
so when they actually said we're ending the spousal cap, I mean
Mhm.
they clearly did not
Spousal
do that.
clawback.
They did
Spousal
not do
clawback.
that. So
They did it on one part, but yeah, it's kind of like the
yeah.
same when
Yeah.
they increased the shelter portion, but only for certain people. You
Yeah.
Yeah,
see, remember
yeah,
that big announcement where we're
Yeah.
increasing the shelter portion 125 or whatever the hell it was?
yeah,
Hmm.
But they only did that for people who actually have shelter.
yeah. In
For
market
people
housing.
who are still homeless and disabled,
Yeah.
they don't get anything. So
Yeah,
I
or
mean,
yeah,
they're very good at this beautiful shell game, which is sad because
yeah,
I was under the assumption that two people would now get 1483
Yeah.
each,
yeah. That's what I
Yeah.
which
thought.
is more appropriate for the world in which we live,
I
Mhm,
I think
which
I
is
think
still
everybody
well
thought that.
below
Yeah.
poverty
Yeah.
level,
mhm.
but at least it gives them a bit of to cover $1,000 for a one bedroom is way easier with 695. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
Hmm.
six
yeah.
ninety five that could be food for
Oh,
like two
exactly.
weeks.
three hundred
Yeah.
five dollars right there. I mean, huge.
Exactly.
And like some of my neighbors thought the same thing after hearing that. Like, oh, so two individual PWDs are going to be treated as individuals and
Yeah.
two full checks. And I mean, oh,
Yeah.
I took it too.
And
I
that
mean,
would be proper because that's
yeah,
proper autonomy, right? That's proper
mhm,
Yeah,
autonomy.
that
yeah,
is. I'm
But
gonna have a
yeah.
chat with we're gonna have a chat with the other MP that was there as well because she was all for it based on gender equality, I think it was,
Mhm.
and giving people their autonomy to be
Mhm.
able to leave negative relationships. And if it
Mhm.
doesn't actually do that, then we got to really go back to the drawing board kind of deal.
People will still have to
Yeah.
hide their relationships. People will
Yeah,
still
I
have
would
to hide
still
their
encourage
relationships.
people to hide their relationships. I really
Yeah.
would. I
Yeah.
mean, if when you're getting less than bare minimum,
Mhm.
Mhm.
white lies will keep you alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know,
Especially when they're
unfortunately.
already living well below the poverty level already.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
just so
Well,
sad that that's what has to be encouraged.
yeah, and that, I
That's
made
what
the
has to be like that's
yeah.
an option that someone has to like go. I either have to lie and actually get food
Mhm.
Yeah.
or have a shelter over my head or whatever, or I can be honest with the government. It's none of their business anyways, who
Yeah.
I'm in a relationship with. I'm an individual person.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, yeah, especially even like BC housing. I mean, they still have the policy in place where it's two individual people, but they have to be under one file in order to qualify
Yeah,
for
so it's
BC
still
housing, just so they can get cheaper
yeah.
rent. But they're not
Yeah.
going to get cheaper rent because now they're going to get punished with
Yeah.
because of that rule. Plus earnings exemptions, the same thing. So now they're in a worse
Yeah.
situation. Yeah.
Well, I made the point on a previous podcast, Brent. I think it was the last one that I said, that we have to lie as PWD clients to keep
Mhm.
up with the lies of the provincial government because
Yeah.
this whole clawback thing is basically based on I mean, like pink unicorn clawbacks. That is a lie in itself. So we have to lie to keep up with the lies of the provincial government. Unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Sadly, that's
I really
yes.
encourage the our listeners to tune into the audio link it's shared on to social media. That interview with Sheila Malcolmson, the Minister of Social Development and Poverty
Mhm.
Reduction in BC, was done in the afternoon on November 20th. Yeah, and
That was
so
Gloria Makarenko as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
she had the interview in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I guess after she met with us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I wondered why I didn't quite understand why we were getting some hard pushback on some of my posts.
Hmm.
Now I
Hmm.
understand why. So now I'm going to actually put a positive forward and say I encourage you all out there
Hmm.
Hmm.
to contact and write the minister's office, but also CC that in with Brenda Bailey,
Yes.
David Eby,
Yeah.
and the both Green parties, Jeremy and
Oh, I think there's Nikki Sharma too.
Rob and who's Nikki?
Nikki.
Oh God, yes, Nikki,
Nikki
yes.
Sharma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was that the one that was at the press conference with us?
No, no. She's the attorney general.
Okay, who was the one that was at the press conference with us?
That was the minister for
Do you have your sheet
Coquitlam.
there with you?
Yeah, she was
Gender, something about gender.
VP. Yeah, she was actually at the she's well, which riding is she in? Coquitlam Marville, I think, isn't it?
We should
CNDP.
put a link on for her as well because she was
Yeah.
very much supportive simply because it had to give more power to individuals to leave unsafe relationships. And if
Mhm.
this doesn't do that, then maybe she's also mistaken. And
Yeah.
we might need her support as well. But here's my point. Let's positively
Hmm.
push back, uh,
Mhm.
call it for what it is and say we want complete autonomy for PWD, and that means there's no other nobody else's income is it affects their
Yeah.
disability,
Yeah.
and nobody else's shelter portion affects their shelter portion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whether it's a fellow PWD or a non-PWD, because that's full autonomy, and I think
Yeah.
that's what they smoke and mirrors were trying to
Yeah.
sell. Let me
No,
put it
like when
that
I first
Mhm.
heard the announcement, I was taking it as a doubling of
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
checks,
Yeah.
like
got it,
a full check for both.
got it.
So a full 1483 for you, Brent, and a full
Yeah.
1483 for Sonia, and that's
Yeah,
unfortunately not what it is
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's actually not full autonomy. They're
yeah,
Mhm.
still not taking the shelter portion into account.
exactly. And
Yeah.
even with the even with the in a relationship with the non-PWD, their should have nothing to do with you.
No,
I'm sorry.
really,
I'm
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they
Oh,
should
you're
be
an individual.
full checks, and
Yeah,
individuals in a household.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's not no, we're back in like the 1950s, like the audio clip, what Justice said.
exactly.
Because yes, I mean, she's right. Yes, it takes more buying power now than what it did, decades ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, people are having to even barely, I mean, they're not even getting by on if they even had up to the poverty level. I mean, people with
yes,
disabilities, I mean, that's the bare minimum, but people with
yeah,
disabilities, even their expenses are even higher. So we need to get
yeah.
up to that level. And with the government not even allowing two PWD to have two full checks, it's definitely a lot more work that needs to be done to get it up to.
Yeah. And I'm going to say it's $33 million a year it works out to approximately has been invested into disability income support. It's
Mhm.
about 50,000 people this affects.
yeah.
Uh,
So that's
the
not nothing. That's not
It's not
nothing.
nothing, God
Yeah,
bless, but when you're nickel and diming,
yeah,
it's just so oppressive. And it's just
yeah.
we,
Mhm.
Brent and Sonia and I had a lovely meeting with the minister Sheila and her people, and we do have some ideas coming up. As I said
Yeah.
before, I always say our first and foremost is fighting for poverty level financial support. That's it. That's my goal to
Oh,
in my advocacy. That's our
oh,
goal in our
I,
advocacy.
I found her name.
Jennifer, yes, Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Jennifer Blatherwick. Let's get a
Yes.
hold of her too, because she's a minister of what?
She is. Learn more. Jennifer Blatherwick is for the Coquitlam Melville.
Yep.
Uh,
But she
ooh,
holds a ministry position. What's that ministry position called?
do. Oh,
Well, you look for that.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
going to say our bottom line is every time we go and we talk to the government, whether it's provincial or federal, it's a matter of getting poverty level financial support, $2,400 a month,
Hmm.
MBM, market basket measure, or LECO. I don't care. That's what we're fighting for.
Yeah,
That's what we're fighting for. If they're coming back and fixing little things in the background
Yeah.
and this and that and giving us nickels and dimes, sure, we'll take them.
yeah,
Mhm.
Thank them for them. We'll
yeah,
acknowledge it for them. We'll call it out if it's kind of mislabeled, like this last one's been,
Yeah.
and we'll give some pushback. But our bottom line is always fighting for poverty level financial support. So I
Mhm.
encourage everybody to use your voice in support of other advocates in a positive way
Mhm.
online on social media. Keep your frustration and anger kind of focused on the people that it deserves, but in a
hmm,
positive way, and support each other so we can all have a collective voice instead of having people within our own community diminishing our efforts.
right,
So
exactly.
this
Yeah,
is kind of like on social media. I love people popping on and saying, "Hey, this isn't right. This wasn't what it was." But at the same time, we got to call it for what it is and let's not diminish each other. Let's push each
yeah,
other up.
yeah,
And trust me, to people out there that don't think that we're advocating hard enough, we're just taking a different measure, a different method.
yeah,
Uh, Brent, Sonia, myself, Neil, we even want to go to Ottawa. We're at the table. We're getting a method
Yeah.
where we get into at the table with these people
Mm.
instead of calling and using a bullhorn from the front lawn. We're actually trying to get in and actually make a difference from within.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
let's all support one another. We will have some wonderful ideas on how to access money. There is money there. There's money there that Sheila had talked to us about, and we'll have another one of these podcasts as soon as
Yeah.
we get some more details on how to access as much as you can each year
Mhm.
from the ministry in BC, especially during 5 week
Oh my gosh.
check
yeah,
delays.
Yes. Oh,
We've
brutal.
talked about those issues with Sheila,
Mhm.
especially using every single crisis supplement you can. And
hmm,
this is so important. There's money sitting in crisis supplement that nobody uses because they don't know, get pushback.
Well, it's
They
stigmatized,
don't know
right?
the proper wording that needs to be
Yeah.
said for the government officials
Yeah.
to approve it or not approve it.
Mhm.
We're gonna help. We're gonna have some workshops and more about this, about how you can access every single crisis supplement you can.
Mhm.
So if we do that, then they have to like start listing and saying, "Hey, listen, we're using the crisis supplement budget up every year. We need to add more money in here." So we have a few ideas for you guys in BC
Yeah.
to access the money that's there, including employment and training programs. They say that there's lots of money for employment and training of disabled people, but they don't realize that disabled people can barely ever get a job what based on discrimination first and foremost. I'm going to
Mhm.
say that out there, based on having to change your work expectations to fit the needs for both the worker and the work and the employee and the
Mhm.
employer. And if there's so much money sitting there for employment, then let's start using it properly too. So we'll get back to you on how to access that as well. And we're
I found
talking.
the name, Jeff, for Jennifer's the Parliamentary Secretary for Gender Equality.
Yes, yes, she's a
Yes.
person that needs to have to hear the pushback on that, because that's the main focus on the spousal clawback is to actually make each person autonomous and
Mhm.
have the financial resources of every other autonomous PWD, so they can leave a relationship if and when need be.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, yeah, that show went very quick. There's always so much, that we gotta dive into on our next follow up. For our advocacy on the podcast. Definitely, we'll talk about the crisis supplements. I mean, and how to access these crisis supplements. And like you mentioned, I mean, we're going to be having more workshops and diving into how to get these supplements. Yeah, definitely we'll be definitely looking into that.
Please,
um
sir, can I have some more?
yeah.
Can I have
uh,
some
Yeah.
more?
uh,
Please, sir.
It's you
Yeah.
know what? Let's use it. Let's beat that horse till it's dead, kind of deal, and let's get it every time. I mean, there's so much paperwork that has to be done.
Oh my.
We can also do a workshop on how to use my self-serve.
Yeah.
My self-serve. Oh yeah, yeah, love it.
Oh,
I love
Hey,
it. I love
time
it.
to clock out,
yeah.
Brent.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll come back and we'll talk about, crisis supplements,
Yeah.
employment and training,
Yeah.
money in your pockets to help you,
Mhm.
and how to support one another online,
Yeah.
and where to focus your frustration and how best to focus your frustration online and in
Yeah.
emails and by phone calls.
Thank you, Jeff, on that. That's a good mic drop right there. But I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today to PWD Allies podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share. Tune into your favorite podcast where you find it best suited for you. But thank you for foremost, Jeff, for coming on today and talking about these very pressing situations that affect people with lived experience on PWD assistance in British Columbia. Look forward to having you on again soon. Thank you so much.